It is 11 p.m. on a Friday night. You walk up to a machine bolted into a concrete wall, slide in a piece of plastic, punch in 4 digits, and walk away with cash. The whole thing takes about 30 seconds. But in those 30 seconds, your request travels through at least 4 different organizations, crosses 1 or more national networks, and triggers a chain of security checks that would have been unimaginable when the first ATM opened in London in 1967. Here is what actually happens inside those 30 seconds. The moment you insert your card, the ATM reads a tiny chip embedded in the plastic. That chip does not just store your card number. It runs its own authentication protocol, generating a one-time cryptogram to prove it is genuine. If your card only has a magnetic stripe, the ATM reads a static data track instead, which is far less secure. This is why most banks are retiring magstripe-only cards entirely. Now the ATM asks for your PIN. Here is something most people do not realize. Your PIN is never sent to your bank as 4 plain digits. The moment you press each key, a tamper-resistant chip inside the PIN pad called a hardware security module encrypts your input immediately. If anyone physically broke open that PIN pad, the module would destroy its own encryption keys. The ATM operator, the network, the technician who loads the cash, none of them can see your PIN. What travels through the network is an encrypted block that only your bank can decode. At this point, the ATM packages everything into a single message. Your encrypted PIN block, your card details, the amount you requested, and a timestamp. But here's the thing. The ATM has no idea whether you have enough money. It does not know your balance. It does not know your daily limit. It is just a terminal. It sends that message to a company called the processor, which manages the connection between this machine and the banking network. The processor looks at the first 6 digits of your card number, called the bank identification number, and figures out which network to route your request through. If your card is Visa branded, it goes through the Plus network. MasterCard goes through Cirrus. In the United States, regional networks like Star, NYCE, and Pulse handle a large share of domestic transactions. The network acts as a switchboard. It does not approve or deny anything. It finds your bank and passes the message along. Your bank receives the request and makes the decision. It decrypts your PIN block and compares it against the one on file. It checks your available balance. It checks your daily withdrawal limit. It runs fraud detection. Is this location consistent with your recent activity? Is the amount unusual? Has this card been flagged? All of this happens in a fraction of a second. Your bank sends back a single response code approved or declined and a reason. That response now travels the entire chain in reverse. Your bank to the network to the processor to the ATM. The round trip typically takes between 1 and 3 seconds, depending on how many network hops are involved. If you are withdrawing from your own bank's ATM, the message might never leave the building. If you are abroad, it crosses an international network and back. If the answer is yes, the ATM activates its cash dispenser. Inside the machine are metal cassettes, usually 4, each loaded with a single denomination. Rubber friction rollers pull 1 bill at a time from the top of each stack. Every single note passes through a sensor that checks its thickness, size, and magnetic properties. If a bill is too thick, meaning 2 notes stuck together, or if it fails the check, the machine rejects it into an internal bin and pulls the next one. Only verified bills reach the slot where you pick them up. Here is a detail most people never consider. The cash you just received was not yours. It belonged to the ATM owner, either a bank or an independent operator who loaded those cassettes. Your bank did not move any money during the withdrawal. It placed a hold on your account, a promise that it will pay. The actual transfer happens later in a process called settlement. At the end of each business day, the ATM operator's processor collects all the transactions into a batch, submits them through the network, and the issuing banks transfer the real money. Settlement takes 1 to 2 business days. And when that settlement happens, fees get distributed. If you used your own bank's ATM, you probably paid nothing. But if you used someone else's machine, up to 3 fees can apply. The ATM owner charges a surcharge, typically $2 to $3 in the United States. Your own bank may charge an out-of-network fee on top of that. And behind the scenes, your bank pays an interchange fee to the ATM network for routing the transaction. On a single withdrawal, 3 different companies can each take a cut before the money lands. So the next time you pull cash from a wall, remember what just happened. A chip proved your card was real. A tamper-proof module encrypted your PIN. A processor routed your request across a national network. Your bank made a split-second decision. Rubber rollers counted your bills 1 at a time. and the actual money will not move between banks until tomorrow, all before you put your wallet away.